Welcome back to the Comp Closet podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sarah Moore, and today I'm welcoming someone who is quite well known in the bodybuilding community. She's an FMG Bikini Athletic Pro and one of the beautiful hosts of the Bikini Academy podcast. Montana Bannister, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I have been hoping to be a guest on your pod for a while, so I'm super glad to be here.
I'm so excited to hear more about your journey, and I feel like, from what I've seen, it's been super inspiring. How does it feel to be on the other side of a podcast?
Enjoy being a guest and being interviewed. It takes the pressure off me, and I just get to yap about myself, so that's good fun.
Yes, we love that. And you recently got back from overseas as well. Tell me about that. What were the highlights?
The whole thing. We just got back from, my husband and I just got back from Italy, which was a bit of a delayed honeymoon / 1 year anniversary trip. So we've been looking forward to it for a long time.
Yes, I love that. So did you not have a honeymoon after your wedding?
No, we didn't, because Jono had to go straight into prep. He competed last year as well, but he has quite lengthy preps. So he was pretty well in prep around like straight after the wedding, and did have to behave a little bit on the wedding day as well.
It's so funny how we plan our lives a little bit around comps and preps and that, because I'm getting married this year as well. And the only reason we're doing it this year and not next year is because I am in a build and I'm like, well, I don't know when I'm competing in, 2026. So I don't want to clash a prep with the wedding. So we'll just get married this year.
Why not? No, it's so fun. I've got a couple of clients that have recently got engaged as well, look like wanting to compete again. And it's like, okay, we got to consider this.
So funny. So going back to the early days, how did you get started in fitness, and then what eventually led you into bodybuilding?
Always been in some sort of competitive sport, I guess you'd call it, and was also pretty active growing up, just through school, but I didn't really take it to a high level through there, except for with my horse riding and horse showing and stuff. That was kind of what I did growing up. Moved to Brisbane, where I am now, shortly after school, and horses kind of took a back seat. I got into a position, a role with a job that I was working at the time. And I was just kind of not really doing anything, just kind of coasting through life, working. And one of my good friends, colleagues, call her Mama Fee now. At the time, she was training with Jono, and she, noticed that I kind of needed something to do, and she suggested that I come along to the boot camps that Jono and his best friend JD were running. This was way back in 2018, so that's how I started out. I started at the boot camps, and if anyone knows Jono, which people, probably a lot of listeners here probably won't, but he has this way of getting you into the gym and just, I guess, making you love it from day dot. So he did just that. He got me from the boot camp into the gym, and then pretty quickly signed me as a client, and that is how it started. Very briefly.
Yeah, wow. It's so interesting. I find a lot of people who grew up doing competitive horse riding, including myself, stopped doing it and then kind of had this gap and looked for something else to fill that time, because it obviously is quite time consuming. Do you feel like some of those skills or attributes that you had from competitive horse riding kind of transfer over to bodybuilding?
I've never thought about that. I feel like maybe they've just translated over to my life as a whole, because as you said, having horses, whether they're competitive or not, is a full-time job in itself, caring for something else. So I think that's just, translated to my whole life with time management, knowing that even though your work day might be 9 to 5, there's still things to do in those other hours of the day as well. But the competitive nature is just me anyway. So bodybuilding just gave that an outlet.
Yes, so true. And then, so from when you started in the gym with Jono and those group fitness classes and that, how did you then get into bodybuilding?
So he was competing. He's been competing for years. He had a really close community when I was at that gym, Mama Fee. So we went and watched one of his comps. And do you know much about ICN or ICN over here?
No, not really.
Well, they have angels, and it's just like they just a bikini basically physique that gets up with like the wings on stage. Very little, or you don't really need too much muscularity for that division. And I went and watched this competition and I was like, I'm doing angels. That's what I said. So then from then, because when I first started in the gym, I, from horse riding, thought I naturally had a pretty developed upper body and I was actually super self conscious of it. So I didn't want to build muscle. That was my thing when I first started. I was like, I could do this. Like those girls don't have too much muscle. I like their look. I want to do angels. And that was like my first introduction and like, yeah, like why I started kind of getting into bodybuilding. But we quickly realized that I was not going to fit angels or even bikini when I first started because I just grew like a weed.
Imagine having that problem, like thinking back now about how fast that growth was when you first started. Imagine having that problem now, like it's what we all wish for. That's so funny. That transition from like not wanting too much muscle to, now obviously striving to grow and grow specific areas. So, can you tell me about like your first competition experience and then where you kind of went from there?
Yep. So my first season was 2019. So started working towards that in 2018. Competed with ICN and I only did 2 shows that season. I did the Sunshine Coast show and the Brisbane show. And yeah, as I said, kind of thought I might be in bikini, but then as we started to progress through prep, started going to posing classes, realized that I was going to be in fitness and sports. I was so naive at that point. Like I was competitive, and I wanted to do well, but doing well for me at that point was getting a medal and ICN places top 5. I mean, it was still great competition at the time, but it was achievable. Like it was an achievable goal. So I went up there, didn't have very high expectations, and I like blew them out of the park at the time. Like I got some, I didn't get a first place at all, but I got some seconds. I was in top 5 for everything. And I was just honestly like over the moon. I stepped out on stage. I shook like a leaf, like, and my posing was horrendous. I looked horrendous, but I had the best time. And like from that like first heel on stage, I was like, this is me. This is it. I love this whole thing.
Yeah, I love that so much. And how did you find the prep as well? Like, did you find that hard or did you kind of love the drive of it?
No, again, so naive. I was just doing what I was told. It wasn't hard at all. Like my genetics, as we kind of alluded to at the start, is very much geared for bodybuilding. Like very lucky in that sense. So I don't find it really hard to get lean. Just stuck to the plan. Was just basically ticking the boxes before I even knew what that meant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know you're saying it's easy, and I think some people specifically find it a lot easier than others because you do just have that basic mindset of, I'm just going to execute on the plan that's given to me. And then it does kind of simplify it and make it a lot easier. I think a lot of people really overthink it and like really get in their head about it. And yes, like it can be hard for moments, but it is literally just executing on the plan. As long as you have someone to give you a good plan, you just have to follow it.
Yeah. I think I was really lucky in that Jono was my first coach for that season. And I was just really lucky that, yeah, he gave me the right plan, the good plan, still supported my health to the highest degree. And yeah, I know that a lot of people struggle for other reasons as well. But I was just super lucky that like everything for my first prep just kind of fell where it needed to.
Yeah, amazing. And then you said you stepped on stage and loved it. So where did you go to from there? Did you just do more shows? Did you have an off season? Like what happened?
So then went into my first off season / improvement season, and I can't remember if at the time the goal was to compete again. No, we actually planned to compete a little bit earlier than we did, but obviously the world had some big shakeups in that time. So we decided to extend a little bit to 2021. And both Jono and I started coaching with Brandon Kempter. So transitioned from Jono to BK, which was there was a lot more detail that went into the training, the check-ins, nutrition. So I learned so much in that improvement season. I started coaching during that time as well. But yeah, from 2019, we extended out when we were going to compete again to season A of 2021.
Amazing. And then how did that show go?
How did that show? I won my first overall. I can't recall how many shows I did. I did ICN again. I think I did Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. Sunshine Coast, I won my first overall in the sports model division, which we didn't think I was more suited to, but that's what I did. Went on to do the national show, my first nationals, and I came second to the pro card at nationals. So that's kind of how I finished my season. I was super stoked with that. I was like, awesome. Like, I can't believe I've come from, like, this is my second season and I'm that close to a pro card now. And I did a couple other shows. I did my first IFBB show. I just did the state show during that season, and I also jumped in NBA as well. So that was a pretty big season.
Yeah, wow, you've competed in multiple different federations. So what made you switch over to FMG, and what kind of drew you to that?
Yeah, so from 2021, I competed again in 2022 with the goal to get my ICN Pro card, which I did. And then from there, I mean, I was dabbling in IFBB, but my physique, like my level of conditioning that I get to, the hardness, and even just my shape, like where I am muscularity wise, didn't really suit that division. And that was kind of where I was looking for my next stepping stone from ICN. But yeah, it didn't really suit that. So I was looking for maybe somewhere where I was better suited. And at the time there wasn't FMG, but I was working towards, something, not IFBB. And then FMG came along and I was like, perfect. I was already working towards that physique anyway. So that's how I ended up at FMG. Like, obviously just values the show itself. Like, I love being on stage. So the whole show of FMG and what it brings, and then coupled with the values that FMG has as well. I mean, it was like a no-brainer.
Yeah, incredible. And how did you feel like stepping on an FMG stage compared to the other stages? Was it different?
Well, my first experience was in LA, which actually wasn't planned. So it was very different. Being in a whole other country across the globe, I had my best friend, very thankful for her to have come with me, but that was it. So yeah, it was very different. I mean, I had already been on stage a number of times. In that element, it wasn't really new to me. I knew what I was getting into with the posing, so I was prepared. But yeah, it was different in like how the show ran and all of that. I loved it though.
Walk me through that decision to go to LA, because I know it was super last minute.
There wasn't really much decision, to be honest. I don't know if I've actually told the story much, but I was at the Gold Coast posing workshop for the Australian show coming up, and Ali was like, "You should do LA." And I was like, "Huh?" And she was like, "Yeah, let's get you to LA." I think it was like 11 weeks out from LA. I was like, or less. I can't remember. I'd have to go back. And I was like, "You're absolutely insane." I was still at Empire. I was about to do my session. I messaged B, my coach, and I was like, "Ali just said this." And he was like, "Give me a minute." And he was like, "All right, let's do it." So I was just like, someone needs to come with me, trying to find someone to come with me. And I think it was a few days after that posing workshop, booked flights. That was the decision making.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. And how was the whole experience competing overseas? Like, obviously you went pro as well. Tell me about the emotions there too.
I mean, it was just once in a like crazy experience. And obviously there's so many more international shows now with FMG. I mean, other federations as well, and more people going and competing internationally. And I think that maybe not if you can and you want to in your first season, hell yeah. But if you're doing follow-on seasons, I think it's absolutely an experience that if you can, something to do, because it's just, I don't know, crazy experience, awesome. So the whole experience was great. Being in LA, it was awesome. I loved knowing what I know now, that the experience of an FMG show is the same whether you're in LA or here. So it was super easy to navigate, super easy as a first-time FMG competitor. I had really ran into no issues with that. And then Yeah, winning pro, it was an interesting experience because, yeah, obviously it wasn't part of the plan. And it's hard to like talk about the feelings that came with it because it just all happened. But obviously, like over the moon. After the morning show, I did get first call out, so I was feeling confident going into the night show. But obviously, you never know. Um, but yeah, I mean, and also, as I said, competitive. So I did go into the night show thinking that I might have it, and then I got it, and yeah, I was just like, it was the best.
Did you have any expectations when you were flying over to that show?
So weird. I usually do go into a show, and I don't promote other people to do this, but like, don't go looking at your competitors. It's not something you can control. But I do. I mean, I think it's human nature to do that. So I usually go into a show kind of maybe knowing where I sit. But this show, I knew no one coming into the show. So that was very different for me being backstage, not knowing really anyone I was stepping on stage with, except Bree, who came over from Australia as well. So yeah, that was a very different experience. So expectations were that I knew I could do well and I was going to put my best foot on forward on stage, but no expectation in how I would go.
Yes, that is wild. And do you have any advice for someone who is traveling overseas for a show?
Yeah, have like a solid plan in place for obviously traveling there. You need to know what you need to eat, what you can pack and take on the flight as well, depending on where you're going. Do a lot of research on where the venue is, the area, the gyms around, facilities, because obviously you're going to need to cook, you're going to need to buy your food. Just do as much planning as you can to take that mental stress away from you when you are traveling
Yeah,
and have
agreed.
fun.
I think, yeah, most importantly, but I think food is a massive one, like doing your research so you know when you land exactly what you need to buy, where you're going to go, what you can cook, like what facilities you have, or if you can't cook, then maybe meal prep providers. Like, I think that food is such a big part if you're getting there, a few days or even a week before a show, because you obviously want to stay on point with all of that. I don't think anyone talks about how hard it is when you travel for a show and you're like in a new country, and when you get to a new country and you normally just try all this new fun food and you go to the supermarket and you try all the treats, but when you're there for a show you can't do it for a few days. I found that
Yeah,
so
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, in America, like a whole another level. Like there's so much in just the shop. But another thing as well on that with food, keeping your food selections as consistent as they are at home. As you said, like you can't try the treats, but also don't go mixing up your vegetables and things like that. Like try keep it as simple as possible because obviously, if you're getting there in peak week, you don't want anything to go wrong. Like you want it to be as smooth and predictable as possible.
Yes, 100%. Don't go having like new things. I see a lot of people go overseas to compete and they might go to America and try all these new like energy drink flavors and things before the show, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that would freak me out that I'm going to have like, I don't know, some reaction or bloating or something to it."
Yeah, I will say though, I did have to crack into the rice cakes over there.
Yes, so good.
All
So
the
many more
flavors.
choices. Amazing. And then you obviously won your pro card, and so you switched up your plan and had to do your pro debut in the Australian show, which is a massive step. What was it like stepping on stage as a pro, and like, did you have any self-doubt?
Yeah, a lot of self doubt actually, and it kind of came, I guess, straight after initially after winning my pro card. I didn't really experience those straight off the bat, but as we got closer to the show, I was, and this was the first time I've probably suffered physically at the back end of a prep, but my stress was high, and I was having to kind of combat that. And yeah, lots of self-doubt actually, like kind of just thoughts of being like, oh shit, like it wasn't really the plan to be going pro. And now I'm like, am I good enough? Like I feel like an amateur still. So having to kind of switch my mentality to pro mentality, and will admit I did kind of suffer with these thoughts all the way up until show day, and getting through that was just communicating with my coach, Jono, my husband, and a few close friends, but didn't take it too far elsewhere. Like I know that, you want to keep that kind of close and with people you really trust, but also like obviously telling your coach, because we've got a plan. Coming back to like my first prep, like it's all about just executing the plan. So what helped was controlling the controllables and just doing what I could. And then I knew on show day, I had done everything that I could. So I was just going to go and have a good time. And I did just that. Being backstage was nerve wracking. Like there was so many more girls backstage, but everyone backstage, even like the girls that were in my division, just made it so fun. And then when I did get to step on stage, the pro stage, yeah, it was an amazing feel. I got goosebumps thinking about it again. And I think my switched up my mentality. Like as soon as I got on that stage, heard everyone that was there for me like scream, and I was like, yeah, I don't care about all the self-doubt anymore. Like whatever happens today, I'm just gonna have a really good time.
Yes, love that. So thinking back to, the Montana that did have that self-doubt in the weeks leading up to the show, what advice would you give to her now?
Yeah, exactly what I like kind of just said. Like control what you can control. There's like literally no reason to worry about things that you can't change now. Like I'm not going to be able to magically put 2 kilos on my glutes in 2 weeks. So why worry about it? Just continue to, keep your training intensity where it needs to be. Follow your nutrition plan. Just do what you can do. Obviously, you're still human. Like you can't just shut these feelings off. So communicate with people that you trust, but essentially just, yeah, try to relax the mind as much as possible. Easier said than done though.
Yes, absolutely. It can be hard, like with those feelings of self-doubt. But I think, you also need to reflect on if you are putting 100% in. Like, I know some people kind of have those moments in prep when maybe they're not putting 100% into everything. Maybe they're not getting enough posing practice in. Maybe they're not finishing their cardio sessions. Like, so, take a look at whether you are putting 100% into everything. And if you are already putting 100% into, your nutrition, your training, and your cardio, your steps, your posing, all of those things, then like you said, you just need to, focus on what you can control and try and do some things to relax the mind. I think that's super important too, is like including some time in your prep to actually relax your mind, whether it's like journaling or sitting in the infrared sauna. I know that's something that works really well for me because it just like locks me in a box for 45 minutes and I can't do anything else or like move because I'm such a busybody. But is there anything that you kind of do during prep that you've found helps with relaxing your mind and kind of calming down a bit?
So bad. I'm probably, yeah, similar to you where I'm always like go, go, go. But it is the most overlooked part of a prep is the recovery side. And not just physical, mental. I really like going outside for my walks. So if I wasn't able to do that, I kind of noticed a difference there. So whenever possible, took my phone, but put it in my pocket so I wasn't walking and doing something on my phone as well. So yeah, taking that time to, whether it be, yeah, walking, reading a book, journaling, sauna, sitting, whatever, just trying to do something that's nothing.
Yeah.
I think everyone should do.
Absolutely. It can be really hard to slow down. And I think, especially, types of people like us and other people who are obviously drawn to this sport do find it quite hard to slow down. And actually, another thing that really helped me during my last prep, and it wasn't intended to be a thing to make me like relax or calm down or anything, but it was bedazzling my heels because I fully bedazzled both my pairs of heels for my 2 shows and it took forever. But I couldn't be on my phone. I couldn't be doing anything else. I just had to be like, fully focused of doing like one little gym at a time. And I did it as like my little bedtime wind down routine, like 30 minutes a night. And it made me so calm. So I feel like, maybe like arts and crafts or coloring in or like bedazzling your heels is quite a good one as well.
I tried to bedazzle heels for the LA show. I wanted to like have a backup pair. No, definitely not my forte. But maybe I could bedazzle something else. One of my clients had like a bedazzled like tumbler. I was like, I want one of those.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I've seen those as well. Maybe our new wind down routine.
Bedazzling our cups.
Yeah. So, in your view, what are the essential qualities that make someone a successful competitor?
I think anyone that's going to get to the top of bodybuilding is, gonna have similar traits that we've spoken about, like kind of always doing something competitive, someone that can kind of just switch on and follow a plan. I think they're pretty common traits to see in a competitive bodybuilder, and there's definitely a better way to put what I just said, but hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, I 100% get that. I think a lot of people who do bodybuilding do have that kind of type A personality or struggle
The
to slow
one.
down. Yeah, just like really, I don't know, on the ball with everything, good time management, those kind of skills definitely really help.
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessary to do bodybuilding. Like, I think there's so many stepping stones, and not everyone wants to take it as far as what, like, you and I have taken it. Um, like, you don't have to, if you're like, you don't have to have those traits to be a bodybuilder. I think, though, you obviously do need to live the lifestyle, though. Like, I think such a mistake just thinking that you can jump into a prep, even if it's not a pro prep, like it's your first prep. I think it's just a bit of a recipe for disaster if you're not already living the lifestyle.
Yeah, so true. And like your health is on the line as well. If you're going
Exactly.
to this whole new extreme that you're not used to, and you're not used to doing all of these habits and the nutrition and the steps and the training and all of these, like, your health is obviously on the line. So that needs to be top priority as well. And it definitely helps to have those habits in place first. And
Yep.
speaking of, like lifestyle and habits and everything, can you share your approach to recovery post show? Like, how do you transition out of a comp prep?
So this one, it was completely different, and I have spoken about it a bit. I knew that I was probably going to take a bit of a longer time off stage this time, and I know myself. I've done plenty of reverses and post comp periods, so I know myself well enough to know that the approach that I took this time, while definitely not one that I recommend, was going to be fine for me. And I kind of just, I went straight into more intuitive eating and relaxed fully, because I have been bodybuilding since 2019 or a bit earlier. So I was kind of ready for a bit of a break. But what I tell my clients, girls, friends, it is easy to feel lost once you come off stage, because you've been working towards something for the better part of half a year or maybe longer. So you've obviously had that goal in mind for so long, and then it's gone like that. I usually say, though, like, I don't think you need to have your next goal in mind straight away. I like to usually keep elements of your routine in. I think that's really important. Don't just go cold turkey, nothing, because then it's going to be hard to get that back and you're going to feel even worse. So keep elements of your routine in. Go for your walks, have your normal breakfast, get to the gym, but maybe you have a deload the week after prep. Maybe you go out for a meal, and you take some time to be human again. But while you're doing that, appreciate what you have just achieved. From there, then you can start looking for, are we going to move into an improvement season? Do I want to look at trying something else post recovery? But post recovery, like, you can start looking at what you're going to do next.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I feel like it can be hard, obviously, to, find that new goal post show. And a lot of people feel a lot of pressure to finish their comp and then have the next goal because, some people do. And sometimes I do after a show as well. I immediately have the next goal, but sometimes you don't. And it can be really hard when you see like all these other people post show talking about their new goals, but potentially like if you don't want to compete again straight away or you're not sure what the goal is, it can be really hard. So I like what you suggested about just living life a little bit, but still keeping a lot of those habits in place. And I think identifying those habits that make you feel good as well, because a lot of them do make you feel, really, really good, despite the low energy on a prep when your food in that gets low. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so reflecting on your journey, what advice do you wish you knew 5 years ago?
I should have prepared for this one. I kind of like love my journey. Like, I feel like every step of the way I've learned something new. So I wouldn't change anything, or like I wouldn't give myself a piece of advice, to like change the journey or do better. But I probably would just, tell myself to take it in a little bit more. I think how long's it been? 5 years has kind of like just flown, and I maybe haven't appreciated what I've done in that time and like the growth. So maybe I would tell myself to just take a minute and appreciate that a little bit more, and not always have to look for what's next or do better. I think that would be it.
Yes. Do you struggle to celebrate the wins when they happen?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
It can be really hard, I feel like, when you are, super driven and you always do kind of look for the next thing to actually stop and celebrate when you have achieved something that was a goal for so long. Like, for example, when you went pro, then you obviously went straight onto your pro debut. Like, do you feel like you got time to kind of celebrate that moment and celebrate how far you'd come?
Yeah, I mean, not really, because I was still in prep and there's not a lot of celebration that happens in prep. So no, maybe not. But I think for myself, I do find it easy to maybe look at, I guess, people that inspire me and where I want to get to as well, and always wanting to work towards that, but realizing like they were probably in my position as well before they grew to what they were. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And what are your next goals in regards to competing?
Competing, I will definitely be on stage again, but I've got a few other goals to tick off before that. But I coach like girls to stage all year round, so I'm always at shows and like living in the shows all the time. I'll be back, absolutely, but I'm not 100% sure when it will be, sorry. Jono will be back on stage before me. So I'm just keen because he watched me through my prep before this one. He didn't prep. So I'm keen to actually support him through a prep and not be prepping myself.
Yeah. And when you say supporting him through a prep, like what is it that you do that makes him feel supported, or what is it that he does during your prep that makes you feel supported?
Well, this isn't something that supports me, but he went and he was eating his Dominoes in the car before coming inside. No, but he would just help like keep me. I mean, I don't really need help staying on track, but bring me back down if I was struggling at all. Help me with like prepping meals. We would have dinners, but obviously I was tracking it. But we would have like a dinner together like that. Going for walks together. He'd come up for my steps. So just doing things like that. He is definitely better at doing things like that than me. But I'll get off my bum and go for walks, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes it's just having that support. Like if you have to get your steps in and you're really tired, having someone go with you is actually really amazing. Or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, the little things, like I know my partner will, like maybe do the washing and put it away if I'm like really tired and have to go finish a cardio session or something. Or if I'm already finished my steps, he'll go and walk the dog without me and like get it done because I'm finished my steps for the day. Like just those little things I feel like really help, just kind of having someone there and understanding when you are really tired. It's like those little moments that I think really help when your energy's low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for someone who is listening to this who feels like they're not confident enough at all to step on stage, what would you say to them?
It starts somewhere, and everyone did start somewhere. And if it's something that you want to do, if it's that you're not feeling confident enough, just get as prepared as you can. Practice your posing, focus on your plan, just tick the boxes, and execute the plan. Practice your posing until it becomes second nature, and then like gosh, confidence is a hard one when you get to stepping on stage. You either have it or you don't, as in self-confidence. Fake it till you make it. Get out there, have some fun. Your posing routine, you'll be so surprised how easy it flows when you get on stage. Even though you feel like you're just gonna freeze and forget, you won't. So just like take a leap of faith, like just jump out there, have fun, have the best time, and like I can almost guarantee that you will.
Yeah, so true. And do you feel like you had confidence before you started bodybuilding, or was that something that you kind of built?
The stage confidence definitely came with time. Like the nerves were there, but confidence in like getting on stage or like being a bit of a show off, that was definitely there to begin with.
Yes, I feel like that would have really helped and would have kind of transferred over to FMG as well with the posing and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Any last words of advice?
No, other than just like have the best, like if you're a competitor, enjoy the process, take it all in, and like just have the best time, make friends, and it's definitely an experience that if it's something that is up your alley and something that you enjoy, just do it and have the best time.
Yes, so true. And I feel like it impacts so many other areas of your life as well, like going through a prep and stepping on stage. Do you feel like bodybuilding has influenced other areas of your life?
It's literally shaped my life. Like I started my whole career relationship like around, well, not my relationship, but I mean it came because of bodybuilding. But yeah, it has literally created my life that I have now, and probably also changed me as a person as well, for in the positive way. Um, so yeah.
Yes, I love that. So, where can people find you online if they want to follow your journey, listen to your podcast, all those things?
So if you just want to follow me and follow my journey, it's Montana Bannister on Instagram. Podcast is the Bikini Academy on Instagram as well, which I do with my good friend Nicole. And anything business is Off Tap Fitness.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing more of your journey and sharing your tips and advice. I think, this will be super, super valuable for anyone who wants to compete or just anyone who's like deep in a cardio session looking for a bit of motivation.
Get it done. No, thank you for having me on.
And thank you so much to our listeners as well. If you could follow this podcast on whatever you're listening to it on, give it a rating, and then, of course, share this episode to your stories, tag Montana, tag myself, tag the comp closet. We love to see it, and we love to see what you're doing while you're listening as well. Thanks so much.